All right, my next guest, Marc Leishman, Australian golfer. He's playing in LIV Golf right now for Ripper GC for Cam Smith's team. And what's going on, Mark? How are you doing, buddy?
Yeah, doing good. Yeah, happy to be home for a bit, and can't say I'm enjoying this cold weather all that much, but it's a nice excuse to stay inside and watch a bit of basketball, hockey, and football and all those sort of things.
Yeah, well, obviously, there's a lot more time off with the LIV Golf schedule. You got back to Australia, I heard, for a couple months, a good stretch of time, and we'll get into that. But before that, you mentioned colder weather. For me, the last time I mowed my lawn in Fairfax, Virginia, was the end of October, and I can't believe it's been almost 3 months. For you, you love mowing your lawn. That's a big passion of yours, keeping up the lawn, keeping up the garden. What are you doing with your free time? Like, does it itch at you? Like, how do you manage everything?
Yeah, it's I'd certainly prefer summer when the grass is growing. I'm in the same boat probably. I wouldn't have cut it since probably early November. Um, so a lot more time. Well, not that I always spend a lot of time with the kids, but that spare time, I'm watching a decent amount of sport actually. So it's been good listening to some books to sort of grow my mental capacity, I hope. And yeah, I've only just started listening to books, so I'm enjoying that, and actually makes the travel go faster too. So yeah, and learning the guitar. So there's a few new things that I'm doing. Learning the guitar with my son Ollie, and watching a lot of their basketball games, and my daughter cheerleading and all that. So it's been awesome.
So as you and Ollie learn guitar, like what kinds of there are certain types of songs, certain genre that you lean towards. You trying to influence them towards like rock songs, or how's that happen?
Well, he loves Green Day actually, so he was excited a few days ago when the new album come out Friday morning. So we've been listening to a lot of that. I'm not really good enough to learn. Well, I know a couple of parts of songs. I know a bit of Good Riddance, and we're learning a few Green Day songs. So um, they use a lot of power chords. So I'm trying to learn that. I haven't got the flexibility in my wrists and my fingers, so I find it hard to hit the right strings and get some awkward, some very weird sounds come out. But it's something that's pretty rewarding when you do hit that right tune.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned Good Riddance. Like I was born in '84, so not that's right in that time. Growing up in the mid '90s, that was one of the first songs I learned to play on guitar with my brother, my older brother. But yeah, it's just funny. I guess for you, like when you think of your younger years as a teen, like what were the groups that you were listening to a lot in Australia?
I was not into music at all
Oh,
growing up. So my first CD that I bought was actually, it was either Green Day or Good Charlotte. I was yeah, Green Day, Good Charlotte, and that was about it. I'd listen to everything, but on the radio, but I never really had music going at the house, in my room or anything. I was always out doing something outside, so I never really knew song names or band names apart from the couple of favorites that I had.
hmm. Well, speaking of the younger years, I think of your home club growing up, where you learned the game. Had you had a chance when you visited Australia the last couple months? Have you had a chance to go back and play some rounds over there? Have you had any kind of sentimental memories, moments to kind of relive?
Yeah, yeah, we live very close to the golf course. Well, our house in Australia is very close to the golf course. So my oldest boy, he's right into golf as well. He's basketball and golf, and so we actually played quite a lot of golf there. And we had a round over at Port Fairy, which is about 20 minutes away, a links course. So yeah, we enjoy a hit when we're down there, and a lot of great memories, especially with him now, like him being 12. Just memories come flooding back of when I was a kid, and now I'm watching my son do it. And I know my dad is sort of reliving it for the second time. So, yeah, it's good to get back there and play a bit of golf and just catch up with all my old friends, and the familiar faces around the golf club.
What's a favorite story growing up from around that home golf club for you?
Um, I remember I scared the crap out of my dad one time. As everyone knows about the the venomous snakes and spiders and all that sort of thing. And we used to get quite a lot of snakes over there. There was a tiger snake on one hole that someone had already found it and sort of knocked it on the head. And I thought it would be pretty funny to pick it up and put it in my golf bag and take it home and lay it out in the backyard. So our mum and dad's kitchen window faces the backyard, and I remember he was just mortified that I'd brought this tiger snake home. It was dead, but yeah, he was. It was very funny actually. So yeah, it was, and yeah, that was an interesting one. But you know, a good mate of mine, Leroy, we used to go there and have chipping comps around all the different greens, and we'd be climbing trees and hitting shots out of trees, and just yeah, great memories like that.
So what did your dad tell you when you brought it home? Like, what did he say?
I was like, obviously, he probably knew that I wouldn't be, you know, stupid enough to pick up a live one. But he was, yeah, he just probably called me an idiot, and we had a laugh about it. And we still laugh about it now, actually. But yeah, it was probably not my smartest move, but because you know, if it happened to have been alive, which it wasn't, but very clearly wasn't alive when I found it. But you know, if they bite you, you're probably going to die. So going close to them is probably not the greatest idea.
Yeah. Well, speaking of snakes, I had heard that there was a time when you played around a golf and your son was with you and you got bit by a snake during that round. Like, how do you recall that?
Yeah, yeah. I was caddying for him at the first tee in Virginia Beach, actually, and it was the first hole, and the lad he was playing with hit it into the long grass up the left, and of course, you know, you don't want to lose a golf ball, so we go over and look for it. It was in the middle of summer, and the snake snapped me right on the Achilles, got me, you know, started bleeding, and I'm like, so there was two fang marks, so it's probably poisonous. And then I started on that green, I started feeling really lightheaded and dizzy, and I'm like, so I said to the dad, I'm like, that it was caddying for the other dad that was caddying. I'm like, mate, I said, I've just got bitten by a snake. If I pass out, call an ambulance, because yeah, like it's probably not going to be good. The hospital was very close; it was probably a mile away. And then about 3 holes later, I thought I was going to vomit, and I was feeling really sick. And then it just passed; it was gone, and I had this massive lump on my leg for about probably 3 months. It wouldn't go away, and then woke up one morning and it was gone. So it was probably lucky it got me right on the Achilles, because there was no flesh for the venom to get into. So yeah, I was pretty lucky with that one.
Man. And you mentioned Virginia Beach there, where you live now with your wife Audrey and your three kids. So Virginia Beach, I heard the course you play out of is not necessarily a private course, right? Isn't it Virginia Beach National? Is not a public course?
Yeah, that's a public course. Yep. So I play there, and then I play up at Bayville as well, which is it's about 40 minutes from my house. But yeah, where I play probably most of my golf is Virginia Beach National, which is a public course. It used to be the TPC Virginia Beach, but really good golf course. It's long. The greens are always perfect. The superintendent does an amazing job out there, and yeah, it's a really good golf course, and it's 5 minutes from my house. So it's a pretty good spot to play at.
Being as laid back as you are, doesn't it kind of make sense, like for golf fans when they hear, oh, Marc Leishman, yeah, he plays at a public course just 5 miles, 5 minutes away from his house. He's not playing at a country club. He's not right up there at Augusta National. You know what I mean? Like he's not. He's just one of the boys. Like, does that kind of make sense? I guess when you hear it that way.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably we're lucky. We've got a few really good places here that I can play at, and I love them all. But I think I fit in pretty well with the public. At a public course. I grew up. My dad was a bricklayer, mum was a nurse, and working class family. I still feel like, obviously, my situation's changed a bit now, but I still certainly value or know the value of a dollar, and I relate to the people out there a whole lot, and really enjoy my time there and at Bayville.
Yeah. And while in Virginia Beach, you guys have your Begin Again Foundation for you and your wife started. Audrey, you got your Birdies and Beers golf tournament. Usually that's in May, I think, right? In the spring.
Yeah, normally it's going to be in August this year. We had to change it up. Just we didn't know what the schedule was going to be for Live, and so we're doing it. Believe it's the 11th of August this year. So at Virginia Beach National. So it's yeah, it's going to be hopefully another very successful event, and we can help a lot of families with all the proceeds that we make out of it.
Yeah, and I know it's an event that gets a lot of, you had a Nationals player, Ryan Zimmerman, I think was there last year, right?
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, we have a really good crew of people that come and play.
some of your
Yeah,
teammates from Live, right? Some, like Cam Smith and those guys as well.
yeah, they all came. Harold Varner comes every year, and we all sort of try and scratch each other's back. I guess you could say, I'll play yours if you play mine, and it's yeah, it's a fun day, and it's just nice to be able to give back, and help the other guys as well with their foundations, and we do realize that we're pretty lucky to be in the situation that we're in, and to be able to help people that really need it is a pretty good feeling. It's obviously it's great for the families who we help, but it's, I think, selfishly it feels nice to do it as well.
Yeah. No, that's awesome to give back. And like, are you able to like spend some time with these families while you're at this event? Like, or is it just kind of depending on who shows up that day? Like, how is that structured?
Yeah, no, we always, take time to try and spend time as much time as we can with the families who we've helped, or it's all over the country, and so a lot of them we don't get to meet, but like we just did a visit to the Monash Children's Hospital in Melbourne last month, to see what they do, and we're now funding their social work department. So it's nice to just go there and see where your money is, how it's helping people, and it really makes you realise how fortunate you are when you see, some of the in the Monash Children's Hospital, some of the kids in there, how sick they are, and what they have to go through every day. So it puts things into perspective a bit too, which perspective is a pretty good thing.
Yeah, no, it always is definitely to have more perspective and see other people's opinions, other thoughts. I want to go back to the old days. You as a young pro, you and your boy Matty Kelly get out there, and at the time it was a nationwide tour, right? And as I gathered, it sounded like at a certain point, credit cards, you guys were starting to max out some cards, and it was, you're getting to that point where maybe we got to go back to Australia. Maybe this isn't really going to work. Kind of take us through that process right before that first win that kind of changed things.
Yeah, so Maddie came over early in that, I think it was 2008, to caddy for me, and he maxed out two credit cards between, I think it was March, and I think it was early September. He sort of said to me, he's like, "Look, I've spent all the money I've got. I maxed out two credit cards. I'm gonna have to go home and get a job." And I'm sort of like, "All right, that's terrible. I wish I could have played better," sort of thing. But can you just give us a couple more weeks? I'll, sort of spot you for a couple of weeks.
Right.
And I think we finished second that next week, and then I won the week after. I think ended up winning by 11 that next week, which was pretty cool and to be able to do that for Matty. That paid off his credit cards and a bit extra, and then if he had gone home, he wouldn't have been still caddying for me now, that's for sure. So he's from what looked like it was going to be about a 6 month adventure, expensive adventure. It turned into a career for him.
Yeah. And which one of those events was it after you guys won? Was it when you won by 11, or was it your T12 at Sony maybe the next year where he just chucked a ton of milk? Like, give us that story.
Yeah, so it was my first PGA Tour event. I finished 12th at the Sony Open, and I remember I won. I think it was $92,000, and we felt like the two richest blokes in the world. We had a red eye home, um, back to the mainland, where I was an alternate for the Bob Hope Classic, and I remember we were killing time, and he goes into one of them ABC stores and buys a gallon of milk. And I'm like, "What are you doing? Like, what are you?" He's like, "What? No, we have to go to the beach." I'm like, "All right." So we go down to the beach, and he just chugged the whole bottle of milk, the whole gallon, and I'm like, "What are you doing?" And it was dark, and then he stuck his fingers down his throat, and it was just a projectile throw up.
Oh God.
All over the beach. And I remember I was on the ground rolling around in the sand from laughing. And I still remember that flight. You don't remember too many flights, but I remember that flight because I had sand all over me because we'd already checked out of our hotels. So yeah, it was a pretty interesting celebration, but one that I'll certainly never forget, and neither will he.
Oh my God. That is crazy that he did that. Well, I mean, I guess it's got to be a financial relief at a certain point too, you know?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, it was obviously that was my first ever. It was my first event in my rookie year, and you don't know how you're going to go. You don't know how you're going to go against the big boys, and that was a nice way to get things started that year, and obviously went on from there.
Yeah, and I go back, just the next year, I think '09. You had a good run where you got into the PGA Tour playoffs. You had kind of a Cinderella run there, and you got to play with Tiger Woods. What was kind of your feelings, emotions, nerves like playing with Tiger for the first time?
Yeah, it was great. It was sort of interesting those playoffs because I think I'd just snuck into the second playoff event, which was Boston, and I remember I had to finish. Well, I remember I eagled the last on Sunday to get to number 69 to get into the BMW Championship, and then so I felt like I was just playing with sort of house money then, and I had to finish. I think it was second or better to get to the Tour Championship, and that's all I was thinking about. I'm like, he's got to finish, have a good week. I wasn't thinking about any consequences for bad shots. I was doing that. So I had a good week, and anyway, after 3 rounds, turns out I get paired with Tiger in the last group. He was, I think, maybe 6 in front, or a long way in front. And I remember the most nervous I'd ever been was on the first tee that day. I remember it was a dogleg left, but I'd been hitting 3-wood off all week, and I said to Maddie, I'm like, I don't know if I can hit 3-wood. I think I might actually miss it. Like I feel like I need to hit something with a big head. Um, anyway, I ended up hitting 3-wood, and hit a good shot, and had a good day to finish second. But yeah, it was a pretty cool day. It was nice to play with him, obviously, and have a front row seat to him when he was, really pretty much in his prime.
Yeah, I mean '09. My God, yeah, that's right in that stretch. He would have just won the U.S. Open the year before and had a
Yeah.
really good year there as well. Is there another player that comes to mind, whether a legend from over the years or just another player of Tiger's caliber that really was just like, man, I don't know how this as nervous as I can get, just even meeting them or playing with them.
Um, no, I think Tiger. I mean, the first time I played with Greg Norman, I played with him at the Australian PGA. I idolised him growing up. Remember, I played with him at the Australian PGA, but I'd had a decent. I'd been on tour for a few years at that point, and played with Tiger a couple of times, and certainly wasn't as nervous as I was with Tiger. But yeah, no, I think Tiger's the one that everyone wants to play with in when he's, particularly when he's playing well. He's fun to play with.
Yeah, another big gun during the Tiger era was Ernie Els, and a friend of ours, Johnny Leonard, asked me to ask you that you had said that you had definitely didn't want to ride in Ernie's plane. From what you had heard, I mean, where would that have come from?
Yeah, you hear a few stories about the lads that ride with him in his plane. I'm sure that you've probably heard them before, but I remember there's one in a book somewhere that I've actually heard from Steve Marino himself. I guess Ernie likes to have a few beers on his plane, and normally it ends up in a bit of a wrestle. So yeah, it's pretty. I mean, I certainly would have done it. I would have gone. I would have loved to have gone on his plane, but yeah, it was. It turns out that if you go on there, you're normally wrestling, or getting told off by the pilots because of all the movement.
Oh my God. In your earlier years playing, when you went to Korea and played, I had heard from our friend Johnny that there were people that would sometimes take your golf ball after a drive. You know what I mean? Like you would get up to the ball, or after walking 300 yards, I'm like, whoa, where'd it go? What happened? Like, how? What was behind that?
Yeah, so my first event on the Korean tour was I was leading after 2 rounds, and I remember playing the third hole of the third round, and I was still leading, and I remember I hit a 3-iron down the middle of the fairway, get down there, and my ball's gone. I'm like, where's my ball? I'm real like, where's my ball? And they're like, yeah, it's back here. It's 50 yards back on the other side of a cart path, and there was one tree, and it was right behind it, like dead behind it. So I call the rules official, and he said I had to play it. So I had to chip it out left-handed,
What?
and then ended up I didn't win the tournament. I ended up finishing, I think, third. And then, but the next week, I was so determined. I remember that I'm like, I just want to get so far in front that if you do throw my ball into the trees again, I'm going to still win. I remember I won by 11. So it was a nice way to start my Korean tour campaign, I guess. And as soon as because foreigners didn't really play on the Korean tour at the time. There wasn't too many, and we weren't accepted very well early on. And then I won that second event, and then it was like I was one of them. It was amazing, the switch, which was pretty cool.
Yeah, that is pretty amazing. What was the event where you won by 11 again?
It was called the Jisan Resort Open. Yeah,
Gotcha.
yeah.
Wow, another part of your career back in those early years. When you look at right now, fast forward to live golf and where you are now, coming up, like how much are you looking forward to kind of the season? We got some different courses kind of on the schedule. Like what are you looking forward to?
Yeah, I mean, last year was an amazing year. I had on and off the golf course. It was, well, certainly off the golf course. It was the most fun I've ever had. And then on the golf course, I actually played some pretty good golf. My putter wasn't where I wanted it to be early in the year, and then sorted that out. My coach came over and worked it out in about 10 minutes. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to hopefully putting a whole year together where I can have close to my best stuff, and playing new golf courses, traveling to new places that I haven't been to around the world, and just being in that team atmosphere. Traveling with the boys, and then the caddies, and it's one big team, and it's just so much more fun when you do it that way compared to doing it by yourself. I'm finding, particularly at this stage of my career. I'm a bit older now, and I've done it by myself for quite a while, and really, really enjoying the change.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and obviously, like, I gotta believe there's a lot of camaraderie with you guys. You said this is one of the most fun times you had was last year. Like, what is that like? That dynamic for you guys as Ripper GC? Like, having Cam there, having you there. I mean, you guys have won events together before too, not just last year, but you guys won in New Orleans at Zurich.
Yeah, yeah, it's fun. You know, the camaraderie amongst the teams is really good, and even you know amongst the tour,
Huh.
it's pretty cool because it's sort of like we're all on one big team, sort of. You know, with all the controversy that's been going on around the two different tours. So it's yeah, it's been a lot of fun, and you know, having said that, I loved my time on the PGA Tour as well. It was just it was different, but it was really good. I loved it, and just but this change at this stage of my career with the young kids and all that, it's nice to be spending a bit more time at home and being able to see them grow up, and on top of all the other positives that comes along with it.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned kind of some controversy between the two entities, right? Like LIV Golf and PGA Tour. Like, where do you see all this going? Like, in terms of the future of the pro game, like, what would you like to see, kind of in terms of an end product?
Yeah, I don't know how it's going to look, to be honest. Yeah, I really don't know. I mean, I'm very happy doing what I'm doing at the moment. You know, if it does come back together, I could see myself playing a few events on the tour. But you know, mostly live just because I'm enjoying the lighter schedule so much. So yeah, I honestly don't know what's going to happen. I haven't heard too much. It's you read a bit of stuff, but you don't really know what to believe and what not to believe. So I'm sort of just letting it all take its course, and I'll play wherever I'm allowed.
Yeah. Did you read the comments from Rory last week about, like, in his mind, he thinks the future of golf should be kind of a Premier League type of setup. Did you kind of come across that article at all about maybe
I
five, six
did,
days
yeah,
ago?
yeah,
What did you think?
yeah. I mean, I don't know how that would look. Whether by the sound of what he wants the PGA Tour to have 9 months and then live to have one or two. So I don't know how that'd work, and obviously you need to know all the details to have a constructive conversation on it, which I don't know all the details, but I mean, I'd like to think that the playing around the world throughout the year is a good thing. What Liv's doing, and the PGA Tour has been predominantly based in America the last well since its inception, really. So I think there's room for both of them, but how it all works with them both, I don't really know.
Yeah. Well, in terms of how it all works for this year, like, how many teams, players per event are you guys anticipating?
From what I hear, it's going to be 13 teams, so 52 players on teams, and then sort of two wild card type thing, which I don't know if they're going to do a qualifier or how they're going to fill those last two spots. But that's what I've heard. I think there was some sort of press release a couple of weeks ago about that, or a week ago. And but like I say, I haven't heard from the horse's mouth yet, so I don't know what's true and what's not true.
Yeah. So when it comes to, like, wild cards, that would just be like, just depending on that tournament, it sounds like, for that given week, or
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, yeah, I don't know how they're going to fill the last couple of spots because, if there's 13 teams, what's that? 52 players. That leaves a couple of groups of two out there, which you probably don't really want. And if you have the reserves that are there for that given week, maybe they play, or you have, if you're in Japan or wherever you are, Hong Kong have their best player, or have in Australia have the winner of their money list. I don't know how it works, but
mm,
I think there's certainly room there for something pretty creative, and potentially pretty exciting for locals and for pro golfers who have a chance to play in a live event too.
Yeah. And of those events, as I look ahead early in the schedule, there it is again. You've got Adelaide. You guys going back to after that run you guys had back in Australia there last year. Like, how much you looking forward to this one?
Yeah, can't wait. That was one of the coolest weeks I've ever had on a golf course. Having that support and great golf course, great entertainment off the course. Just the atmosphere around the whole week was pretty special. Something I've certainly never experienced. Felt like I was, um, a rock star for a week. You couldn't go anywhere without getting asked for pictures and autographs and all that, which was really cool for a week. So yeah, looking forward to getting back there and doing it all again, and hopefully we can have a really good week as a team, and well, hopefully me as an individual as well.
Yeah, and you, speaking of being a celebrity, you were asked to drink beer out of a shoe back back in the
Yeah,
Live Adelaide last year. Like what was that experience like?
yeah, that was. I prefer to drink a beer out of a glass or a can, to be honest. It was an ice cold beer when as it was going into the shoe, and then as it was coming out, it was lukewarm and not very nice. So, but sometimes you got to do things for the crowd, and that was one of those things. It was so much fun though, like some really cool pictures and a great memory for myself. And it was funny, the premier of South Australia was the state that Adelaide's in. Basically, like the governor, he was egging me on to do it before I did it, so I had to do it.
Yeah, and Australia's been so starved for big events again outside of their of that summer, the summer golf.
Yeah, and particularly Adelaide. Actually, the year I got my PGA Tour card through the Nationwide Tour, that was the last event, professional event, well, big professional event that was in Adelaide. So, and that was in 2008. So,
Mm,
for
wow.
them to be able to have that there, I mean, they support sport unbelievably well, and I'd go. Last year I went over there for a cricket match. It's a 6 hour drive, and I went there just for one day of cricket. So
Oh my God.
it's a pretty awesome place, and a place I really enjoy going to, and can't wait to get back there.
Yeah. Do you guys have your fourth player in place yet for Ripper GC?
I think so. I think so. I don't know. I don't think I'm allowed to say yet. I don't think they haven't announced it, and I don't know if I'm allowed to say, but it's an
Okay.
Australian. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. Like for golf fans, I'm curious. Like when they follow other sports, whether it's footy in Australia or whether they follow NBA basketball, NHL, like contracts are always like right up. You can go and read what players' commitment and contract is, and whereas with golf, it's been a little more closer. Sorry, live golf's been a little more closer to the vest in terms of this player signed for this many years and this much money. Like what do you think that is, or like what's been your perspective on that?
Yeah, I'm not sure why that is. I guess similar with endorsements and that sort of thing, isn't it? With golfers, you hear all the numbers with the NBA players and the footballers and all that, with even their endorsements for a lot of the time. And golfers, you don't really, unless you Tiger, I guess, they seem to publicise that. But yeah, there's still a little bit of privacy, I guess, with that sort of stuff. Yeah. So it's I don't know why, but yeah, just different, I guess.
Yeah. And obviously, like of recently, players who've been approached by Liv, you think of like Fleetwood and Hatton, who've been in the news about at least having been approached and talking to Liv. How is that, having been a player who's gone through that? Like, what is that experience like when you are approached, and how does that process happen? Like,
Yeah, it was Well, mine was a little different, I guess, just being an Australian and knowing Greg a little bit. I mean, he called me, and it all happened very quickly. Um, Probably within, I'd say, 3 or 4 days. It went from almost like, you know, 0 to 100, I guess.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was very quick, very efficient. I mean, there was, apart, because it's a big decision making that change. Particularly when, I had a few years exemption on the tour still, and a lot of things I had to weigh up, and positives and negatives, and what's going to come of it. And because it was a big risk early on, I feel like, for a golfer, making that jump, but it was it was a really good one. I certainly, yeah, they made it as easy as it could have been.
Yeah. Just in terms of just signing up, getting on the team, and
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
yeah. Um, I was gonna say, just kind of in closing, before we go, this is a funny thing to ask you about, but our mutual friend Johnny Leonard said that you are unbelievable at making coffee. What, what's your response?
Oh, I wouldn't say unbelievable. I'm better than average, I suppose. the the crocodile Dundee quote, but no, yeah, no, we got a good coffee machine downstairs in the pantry, and I can get a bit of latte art on there most of the time. Make it for Audrey every morning. So yeah, I enjoy doing it. I like doing things for other people, and that's one of the things that whenever people come and stay here, they always get a latte in the morning.
Nice. And for the majors coming up, will you be playing? I know I talked with you during the U.S. Open qualifier earlier this year, but is the plan to go through some qualifiers in the meantime, or?
Yeah, planning to do both the US Open and the British Open at this stage. So yeah, last year did US Open unsuccessfully, and then had to the couple of days before, I had to withdraw from the British Open qualifier. I had no clubs or clothes, so that was going to be a tough one.
Wait, you
Yeah,
didn't? What didn't you have?
I didn't have my suitcase. Never got to London. Sorry, so I had nothing. Yeah, so it was
Oh my god.
yeah, so that was it's tough to do a 36-hole qualifier with someone else's clubs, or a makeup set. So I thought that would be um, I thought I'd save some energy and not do that,
You
and then
said
ended
that.
up finishing second in London that week. So it turned out pretty well.
Well, good stuff, Mark. Hey, thanks for taking the time. Great to catch up again with you here on the podcast, buddy.
Yeah, no worries. Good chatting.